I'll edit it and cut this part out. Okay, so I'm here with Tammy Hornsby, who teaches at Two Rivers High School Special Education. And so I'm just going to ask you a few questions. As a special ed teacher, what kind of challenges have you faced?
The biggest challenge as a special ed teacher is not the children, it's not the way they act. The biggest challenge to a special education teacher is the paperwork and staying abreast of the paperwork. Eventually learning how to do the paperwork and then it being changed. That is the biggest challenge.
Okay, so how do you face these challenges?
Well, you go to the challenges for the paperwork, you go to as many trainings as possible. You follow what the State Department and your LEA and your co-op tell you to do. And if there are any challenges as far as teaching children, you just do the best you can with each individual student.
Do you think that your education in special ed helped you learn how to do the paperwork?
No. The classes that I took taught me how to deal with children, not to deal with paperwork. The paperwork, you're kind of, here you go, learn how to do it.
So why did you choose this career in special ed?
I didn't choose special ed. I had a degree in secondary social studies, and there are no jobs in that. So a person that I knew really well offered me a job. She was a principal. She offered me a job doing special education, and I learned on the job. I did my ALP, and I got it taken care of, and I've been doing it for 15 years.
Okay. So, how do you work with parents? How do parents get involved with special ed?
Well, they should all be involved. They should come every year to your annual review, every 3 years to your reeval, anytime you have a separate programming. But sometimes we have those parents who just don't. You have these children that once they get, especially to my level in high school, parents don't come nearly as much as they do in elementary, as far as anything. So to get them involved, if you can't do a conference, if they won't come in person, call them. Do a telephone conference. Do send different type text messages, emails, any type of different. You just involve them any way you can.
So what would you think would be a good strategy besides that to get parents involved?
Well, now there's been times that we catch them at parent-teacher conferences and, do a conference with them right there. Try to schedule, if you know a parent-teacher conference is coming up, you try to schedule one of their conferences at that time. A lot of times at our school, we've done like a hot dog night. You have a conference and you have tickets. The parent comes to the conference, you give them a ticket, they get a free meal. Things like that.
That's great. So, are there any programs or services that the school participates in that would get students involved with their community and the community members?
One of the main ones, and it's not necessarily through special education, but a lot of our students utilize this class, and it's our vocational classes. A lot of our students take the family and consumer science classes, they take the keyboarding classes with FBLA, things like that, and they take the agri classes. Now, if they're in agri and they have an animal, they're going to raise that animal, they're going to show that animal, they're going to be at the fair, people will see them, they present the animals, the community members bid on the animals, they pay for the animals, and then these students have to write these people thank you notes. If they're some of our students, special ed students in the family and consumer sciences, they have done projects and gone on to state and national competitions. It's just anything that you can do extracurricular, basketball, football, anything extracurricular will get them involved in the community.
Okay. Speaking of getting involved, when we talk about RTI, that's a very big topic right now. Do you think that RTI helps catch these students that could fall through the cracks, helps get them in special ed where they can get the help they need?
Yes, because RTI is designed to do that. It's designed to say, hey, it's a response to intervention. You're doing an intervention on this child. They're not doing how they're supposed to do. They're not doing as well. So you do these different things, whether it be, DIBELS, you try to do phonics first, you try to do dyslexia screenings, all kinds of tier 1, tier 2, star reading, star math, and you say, hey, this child, you do it here, you do it a little bit later, and if they're not showing any improvement, then there needs to be something else. So you suggest a conference.
Do you notice that this is actually how it's done? Do a lot of teachers follow this, or do they just say they're doing it and then not follow the process? Is it actually implemented the way it's supposed to be implemented?
At my school, I do believe most of it is, most of the time. Now, there are times a teacher will come up to you and they'll say, "This kid's not doing well. I want them in special ed." And then you have to say, "Sorry, here's your packet. You have about 6 to 12 weeks of intervention to do."
Mm-hmm.
And then they will say, "They're really not getting it. I might not have done this, but they're not getting it." And then you say, "Go talk to their parent."
Mm-hmm.
Have the parent come talk to you and see. And if a parent requests it, then you do.
Definitely, yeah.
Then you do the testing.
So, with general ed teachers using RTI strategies, does this work and also catching the ones who they might have in the past referred to special ed just because they weren't getting it when they just needed that little extra help, and help the kids actually stay out of special ed?
I think so, because sometimes it will show you what you could do. Like if they show that they might be a 5th grade student and they're reading on a 2nd grade level. Well, then they say, "Oh, you might need to screen them for a little bit of characteristics for dyslexia, not diagnosing dyslexia, but characteristics of dyslexia." And then you might go along and say, "Well, our intervention for them could be using phonics first. You teach them some root words. You teach them how to pronounce and how to tear a word apart and do word attack. Then they can read better." Well, if you can read better, you're going to know your topic in any subject,
Yes.
not just reading.
So, what are some strategies and techniques you found really work for special education students that need that extra help?
Well, one-on-one. I mean, individualized, repetition, kinesthetic. We just had a play. Our kids wrote and did a play about the voice. We have a high-functioning autistic student, and he wanted to be a contestant, and he sang "Islands in the Stream" by Kenny Rogers. But he took the time and he wrote, and he knew, here's where this person speaks, here's where that person speaks, and he had a blast. But when he wrote it, he had to write it with the correct punctuation. He had to write it with correct spelling. He had to correct himself. He had to read it, go back and do self-correction. So I think just anything that draws their attention, anything that gets them involved.
Okay, so with the special ed, there's a lot of things about technology nowadays, talking about how to use it in the classroom. Do you use technology in your classroom?
Every day.
How do you use it?
Well, I have a set of 10 Chromebooks and I have a set of 10 iPads. We do Google Classroom. We do Moby Max. We do the Hubble Space Top 100 in science. We do all kinds of things. I mean, all kinds of things on that. They video one another if they're trying to do a speech for something or many ways that you can use technology.
Now, I know personally that you've done this before. You've had all that technology, so you had it with technology and without technology. Have you noticed that having access to the technology has helped these students do better and advance in their studies faster?
I think so. I really think so. But sometimes also technology, texting, different things like that will help with reading, but it hurts writing.
Yes.
So I think there's pros and cons of both.
Okay.
But I actually think overall technology does help a student learn better.
Great. So last question, what is a piece of advice you might be able to give me when I'm trying to become a special ed teacher? What's your words of wisdom for me?
Oh, mercy. Have patience. Drink caffeine. And just know that it's hard. But if you love the kids and do what they need, that's all that matters.
Thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.